Welcome back to the podcast. This episode all about how to grow a construction-based business. I want to make it really fucking clear what you need to do and what steps, in what order, how to grow a decent business in the right way with cutting out all of the fluff. So if that's you and you want to do that, listen in, because I'm going to give you some really good, actionable, helpful information to really help you do that. So step one, growing a business, all about the foundations first. Same in building, you don't build a solid extension without doing the footings first, putting the concrete in and actually giving yourself the best base to build from. Business is no different, but a lot of people start a business on the worst possible foundations. They've got no clue what they're doing with their pricing. They've got no clue what they're doing with a strategy of marketing plan. They've got no clue on delivery. And it's all just total chaos, winging it, and just firefighting from day one. And some people never ever get off that bus. They never get off that turbulent fucking shitstorm of just firefighting, dodging bullets until the day you have a fucking heart attack or you throw the towel in and give it up. It's very common in construction. So preparation is absolutely key. Preparation, the best people in the world, any athlete, any professional, any top field, top flight person in any industry, any sport, anything, who's ever achieved anything, really good preparation. So what does that mean for you? Preparation in a construction business is step one, knowing all of your numbers, all of your finances. If you followed me for a long time, you'll understand that I'm very big on this because it's the biggest bottleneck for any business. If you don't have your head around your finances, your pricing structure, your profit margins, your sales tracking, your win rates, your conversion rates on quotes, if you haven't got any handle on that or any understanding of that, you are fucked. You will not grow a decent business without knowing all that stuff and implementing all of that stuff. So step one, you need to get ahead of that. You need to understand all of that. I've got a ton of videos on YouTube on how to price stuff, how to structure it properly. I can also work with people one-to-one if you're a right-sized business. You're already doing like 300k a year to actually implement that and get you ahead. But you have to know your numbers like the back of your hand, and you have to track every single cost on every job that's coming in. Otherwise, you don't know where you're at. It is pointless winning work and you don't track the costs and you don't know what the job's actually made. So you need to up your financial game way before you even start fucking delivering work and trying to scale. Like, people try and market more, try and get more work, but you're not nailing the basics. So being prepared, have a real solid pricing structure. You know your costs, your true costs. It's called prime cost, what it actually costs for you to deliver the work. Then a healthy profit margin on top. Then you're quoting that to the client and you're winning it. And then you're in control of variations, you're in control of extras, you're tracking all the costs, and you're measuring the performance of each job. So if you know you've got, let's say, 20 grand of profit on a job when you priced it, you need to be tracking it all the time to see that the job's actually realised that 20 grand, or it's improved, or it's got worse. And let's level off. Construction, anything in this industry, whether it's a sparky, a tiler, a builder, a roofer, things go wrong on jobs. Something will always cost you a bit more money. Something you will save some money on. But you've got to be aware of it, and you've got to keep tracking it all the time so you're in financial control. You need to take the hat off of the executor, the builder, the delivery person, the engineer, whatever you are, and turn your hat on to the almost an accountant and a financially astute fucking person that's in control of your business. Because if you're making money on jobs and you've got enough jobs coming in, you're always going to be all right. You can solve any problem, you can invest, you can get staff in, you can grow into the things I'm going to talk about on this podcast. So that is step one, preparation. Know your business inside out, know the numbers. Once you've then done that, it then all just becomes about how much you quote in a week to get you to where you want to get to. So if you know industry average is like 30% win rate on quotes. So if you price 3 jobs, you're going to win 1. That's the industry average. Some companies do a lot more than that. Other companies do less because they're not as good at the sales. The marketing side's not as strong. Other companies get so much more word of mouth. You need to understand that number for yourself and work that number out. So wherever you are in your business, you need to review back and go, right, out of how many quotes you've done for the month, how many of you actually won, what's your conversion rate, and understand that number, because then you can set the targets for where you want to be. So if you know that an average job for you is, let's say 50 grand, just as a nice round number, and you want to be winning one a week, you know you need to be pricing 150 grand a week. And these are just the top line numbers that you need to know. You need to know, right, I need to price X amount every week. That will then allow me to win X amount every week. And then you're off, and you've got a solid base that you're building from, and you know you just need to invoice X amount every month to hit your target. So you've got to have a target for the company as well. And I think on that, look, in sense of targets, I think people massively, from speaking to a lot of you, tradespeople, construction business owners, you underestimate the power of the vehicle that you're in. I speak to a lot of people and they're currently turning over like 300 grand, 500 grand. And you say, right, what's the goal? And they're like 600 grand. It's not big enough. Like, the scope for your business to grow is so much bigger than what you think it is. Like, you can get so much more revenue if you just smarten up these things that I'm going to talk you through. You make the money on the job, you've got the right margin, you're profitable, and you do it in the right way that I'll show you in this podcast and talk about. That you can get a lot more revenue than what you think about. So thinking small is the biggest trap. It's the biggest trap, because people just think that it's a lot of money turning over £500,000 a year. It's not. It's a small business, and I'm not discrediting it whatsoever. You are doing something right when you're turning over £500,000. You're getting £500,000 in from clients that are trusting you with their money, hard-earned cash as well. People spending stuff on extensions or remodeling their house, or upgrading what they've got in their home, their offices. They're spending that money that's hard-earned. Most people have remortgaged their house, or they've had a cash injection. Most people live paycheck to paycheck. They've got a lump of money and they've decided to give it to you to spend on their house, to improve their home, their office, whatever it is. So it's a big deal to your clients. So my point is, you're doing something right if you're turning over £500,000, but equally, you're only scratching the surface of the potential market that you've got available to you. So you open your horizons to the possibilities that there are. But in the other end of the scale is, I speak to some people and they want to go to 10 million quid and they're turning over 85 grand. So you've got to get a bit of a grasp on reality. But what I'm saying for you guys is, if you're turning over 300, 500, there's no reason why you can't smash £1 million a year with the right structure. And that's the plan I want to talk you through today. So once you're out, you're winning work, you're looking at jobs, you're pricing it, you're winning it. You know you're making money from it because you've got the best structure in place. You need to also have a good accountant in your side. The right accountant will save you so much money. Your biggest expense in business is your tax liabilities. When it comes to your actual net profits at the bottom, your corporation tax, your personal allowances, everything, tax is going to be your biggest expense. So you need a good accountant in your corner. Then once you're out, you're winning work. What you need to do is get into the mindset as quickly as you possibly can of recruiting people to help you, because you are going to be limited by your time. Once you get to like the £500,000 a year mark, you're going to be doing everything, which is cool. You can easily do that. You can do it all on your own. From your car, you can be invoicing, you can be doing the quotes. It's going to be long. You're going to be getting in doing long days. So it's a question of how long you want to do that. But the first hire you want is an admin person, but I actually call them a head of accounts. People look at an admin bird as exactly that, just a little admin bird to help me out with a bit of paperwork. What you need and what you want is a head of accounts. So that head of accounts comes in and does all of your invoicing, all of your payroll, all of your invoices in as well as invoices out. So structuring the payment terms, paying your subbies, paying your lads, doing all your VAT returns, doing all your forecasts, doing all of your P&L, because that's something you need to do as part of your preparation as well. You're doing a monthly profit and loss statement. This is what a proper business does. You will need to do that yourself to begin with, but then your admin head of accounts lady or man, I do know one company that I work with has got a male doing this. They then take over the reins of doing that monthly P&L. So you sit with your head of accounts and you go through it. And I have always done it that you have your calendar months. So let's take September, finishes on the end of September. By the end of week 1 of the following month, so October, maybe the second week of the month, you are doing the P&L for September. So you're going, right, okay, where did we actually finish in September? What did we actually get in? What did we expenditure out? And go through every single job that you've touched, whether it's a £500 job or a 500 grand job. You need to go through that job and have all the costs allocated to that job, which is costs of sale. So you understand, right, that job paid us X amount and we got paid the X amount, sorry, and it cost us X amount. Black and white, 2 figures. The 2 figures don't lie. You then know your profit difference, your gross profit this is, and then you know the gross profit margin as well. And you know whether you're on track, whether you did more gross profit than when you priced it, or you did less gross profit than when you priced it. That head of accounts is the most pivotal move you will make in your business. Now, the trap is, let's say you've got to a point you're doing £500,000 a year and you're working to like 20% gross margins. So there's 100 grand of profit there on that $500,000. Your expenses are going to be pretty low at that level because, you know, you're probably running it from home still. You don't have a big unit, don't have an office. You might have a van, a few things. You might have the odd expense. You know, you're not going to have major expenses at that level. You shouldn't do, is more the biggest point. You want to keep the business as lean as you possibly can, unless it's on stuff that actually generates income and brings cash into the till. You want to be nice and lean as you can. So if you're doing that $500,000, you've got 100 grand gross profit, less a few bits. Let's say it's 80 grand gross profit. Now, it's very easy to get in the trap of going, well, that 80 grand is mine. You want it for yourself because you set up the business and you've got to a point where you want all that money and you want to draw that money out and spend it on shiny shit. That's the trap. What you really want to do is get that 80 grand once you're doing the $500,000 and then invest back into the business to buy your time back. And you're going to be paying a head of accounts person, I don't know, depends on the experience level, but let's say it's going to be 2.5 grand a month. Might be a bit more, might be a bit less, depending on the skill sets that you get in. But let's just say it's 2.5 grand a month for that person. What you're getting back is all of your time. So you are then no longer doing all the invoicing. A good head of accounts will do a lot of the quotes for you as well. You'll be able to phone them and say, can you send a quote to so-and-so for this, and this. You do it over the phone. Or it's a repeat quote from a job that's similar and your head of accounts can actually bang it out for you. Or you price it out roughly on a spreadsheet and then the head of accounts actually types it up and sends it in. You need to get all of that shit off your desk, all of the boring emails as well, inquiries in. You know, that head of accounts is, you know, you've got to think about it like a small business. It's not like a big business where it's, you know, if you had a head of accounts in a big business, it's like, well, that's your job, you do this, and this. Your first hire in this business is actually it's a multi-dual role. So you need that person's so important as that head of accounts because they're going to be doing all sorts for you. They're going to be doing a lot of personal stuff for you as well and organising your personal life maybe and not taking the piss, but just easing stuff off of you. That's the person that you want because when you buy all that time back, and I guarantee you will buy back at least 10 hours a week of your time. And all you've got to think about is you've just got to win one more job that week or that month to cover their 2.5 grand. So you've got to be committed to your business. And I think this is a fear factor a lot of business owners have is like, oh, but what if I don't win enough work? What if I don't this? What if this happens? You've got to, at some point, put your balls on the line and go, right, what are you in this business for? Are you in this business to make money and build something real and proper? Or are you in business for you to have a profitable job and stuck doing everything yourself forever? You know, it goes back to this, another episode I did of growing the business that you want to be to get to where you want to be. And the beauty with staff is to remove the fear factor. You're not paying them, you're paying them in arrears. So they start on day one, let's say they start on the 1st of the month. You're not paying them to the 30th, the 31st. So you're getting the benefit for 4 weeks before you actually pay them. And yes, you're probably going to have the first month of trial and error, you know, getting used to stuff, showing that member of staff systems, which you need to show that member of staff systems and how you want things done. So you need to understand all that first, which is where I started with preparation. You know your numbers yourself. You've got the best structure yourself. You know what's going on in your business. You know how to price work properly. You know how to track costs properly. You know how to do a P&L properly yourself first. You need to have a basic understanding of it. You don't need to be an expert in it. You don't need to be an accountant. You don't need to be a financial fucking guru. But you need to know the basics of your business, inner workings, because how the fuck can you know what's going on in your business if you just don't know that stuff? It's no different to your household income and outcome. You know what your house costs you, what the income and outcome is. You run the ship. You've got to run the ship on your business even tighter, because obviously you're going to have things like quarterly VAT returns. You've got to be ahead of stuff. You know, your corporation tax, your accounting periods. You've got to be on the fucking ball. You've got to be absolutely on it. So you need to know that. Then you hand that over to your head of accounts. Let's say you have a month and you don't get anything out of them. You don't see any direct benefit for a month. Okay, you're $2,500 in. The following month, you're getting your time back. You're then winning more work, and then you're paying for them. But it allows you to scale so much bigger, because they're going to have the space and the volume there to do and handle a lot more. And you can then start focusing more on just running the jobs and winning the work. And that's all you need to do to keep growing into multi-millions, is just focus on winning the work and delivery of the work. Once you get that person in place, you free up some time, and it allows you to start thinking more about the business. This is the first hire you want in the office side, okay? You don't want anyone else until you've got this person locked in, because this person's actually your gatekeeper as well. They're the barrier between you and some of the subcontractors. They're the barrier between you and some of the suppliers. And they just organise shit. You know, they do all the stuff that you don't really want to be doing, and spending your time going back through invoices. If there's the supplier invoices come through with no job number on, they can handle all that shit and find all that crap out. Log it all, put it all on spreadsheets, do the books, and be ahead of everything. Because unless you do this, you're always going to be on the back foot. And what's very common in construction, actually for a lot of small businesses, is they just meet their accountant once a year, at the end of the financial year. The accountant goes, give me your bank statements, give me all your invoices, and then bangs it all together and then tells you your tax liability. It's too late at that point, because you've got to file your return. Whereas when you're on it every month, you know exactly where the business is going. You know whether you're profitable or not. You know if you're growing or not. You know your anticipated tax liabilities as well. So then you know that you're better off going to be, it might be that you invest back into the business in that financial year to reduce your tax bill. Or it might be better to actually spend money on staff, because again, you're going to reduce your tax liabilities, and it's going to get you ahead in the following year. You've got to get in the mindset of you're just playing a game with this, and not getting attached to just the money that you're earning. And I get it. I understand the psychology, because when you start a business, you're likely going to earn a little bit less as you start. And then once you start earning money, you start seeing it coming in, you want it as like, that's mine, that's mine, that's mine. But you're actually restricting your growth. So once you've got your head of accounts in place, you should then be in a place where you're winning more work, and you're just spending a lot more time building strategic relationships, networking, winning work, pricing it basically. Then once you've done that, you want to be making sure that you've got a process in place of getting referrals from clients, a process in place of testimonials, reviews. You might be at the point where you're then getting a bit more serious about social media. So you've got more advertising, you've got SEO, the website's more decent. You know, I see a lot of people try and get their website perfect first before you start even winning work. I think you actually need to do it the other way. You need to get out there, win work, get the first few $100,000 going, get the head of accounts in, and then start building structure around, right, where's our lead flow coming from? Because all this business is leads in, it's inquiries in, it's pricing them, and then it's delivering them. That's all it actually is. It's three distinct phases of the business. Once you get to that point, you'll see your revenue go up, because the restriction on people's revenue a lot of the time is just because it's all on you. And you're backing jobs up back to back, and you're going, we haven't got availability until 6 months' time. All you're doing by doing that is halting the business's progress. So the quicker you can just get that head of accounts in, that's going to remove all the bullshit stuff that you're not really interested in the business. Then you jump up in terms of revenue, and your next pivotal hire is going to be a contract manager or a project manager. It depends on the niche that you're in, you know, whether you're a roofer, a general builder, electrician, whatever it is. you're going to need some sort of person who actually then starts taking ownership of the jobs, because your next limit, your next bottleneck is going to be, you've got so many jobs on, your head of accounts is doing all their bits, all the admin shit, right? But you can't run jobs properly because you've got so many jobs on and you've got too many lads and too many subcontractors to manage. And then you start taking your eye off the ball because you've just got too much shit on. You know, it's a full-time job running the jobs, and that once you've got to a level, you know, you've got so much going on, you've got to be on the ball because you're still trying to run the business as well at the same time. So you're going to reach the second limit, and that person that then comes in, that contract manager, that PM, or maybe a working foreman, depends on, again, on what you're actually doing, to actually take the relief off of you of the day-to-day management on a lot of stuff. That hire is very, very difficult. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. That is a very difficult hire, because what you're looking for is someone with experience of what you do, you know, that they know what they're talking about. You cannot be a good contract manager or project manager unless you've got some practical know-how on the job. And a lot of people trying to go into PMing, and they just do it because they're just an organised person, but they don't actually know the industry, you know, how you build things, how it's done, working with labour, subcontractors. They just don't know that stuff. So they've got to have experience, but equally they can't be good enough that they haven't got their own business. Because really, if they were good enough at running jobs and they knew jobs, they'd be having their own business. You know, they wouldn't want to be a PM for someone else. So you really are trying to find a needle in a haystack. I'll be honest, it's fucking hard. Like, we struggled like fuck to find really good contracts managers, PMs. There was always a problem with one of them in some shape or form. You know, you never found the perfect well-oiled round person to do that role. It's a difficult role to fill. It's big boots to fill. But they are out there. It's just a needle in a haystack. And I'm just setting that tone for you that everyone has this issue. It's not unique to you. Recruiting people is the toughest thing. It's hard enough, you know, finding labour, but it's even fucking harder to find management, contract manager type people. And this is why a lot of people don't do it. You know, they try it, they get someone in, a job goes slightly wrong, a customer complains, the lads don't like that person, and you take you take a step backwards and go, I can't be asked, and you prevent yourself from making that move. But it is a challenge to get through, and there is a theme with business, right? You're going to have a challenge at every level you get to. When you first start, you have the challenge of winning enough work. Then you have the challenge of doing it all yourself. Then you have the challenge of finding more skilled professional people. Then you have the challenge of bigger cash flow issues. Then you have the challenge of tax management. Then you have the challenge of investing money. It doesn't stop. So whenever you've got a problem, it's a good thing. And I think that's really important to highlight to you, that if you haven't got a problem in front of you, you're not growing, you're not progressing. Problems are good. They are there to get you to the next level. It's like playing a game, you know. If you played a game when you're a kid and it's like the boss level, and sometimes you get to a certain level and you just can't get through that fucking boss. You know, whatever you do, that you try every technique possible to get around that boss, you die, but you play again. And you go again, and eventually you get through the boss. Just have that outlook with it. You just got to get through the level, whatever level you're going through. It's been gone through many times before by a lot of other businesses, a lot of other people. You've just got to get through the level. But you will find that person, that contract manager. When you find the right one, they will relieve so much time, because then you are in a position that you've got a head of accounts. They're doing all the finances, all the P&L, all of the bullshit stuff, all of the admin. Your contracts manager is then taking a job from when it's won. This is what a contracts manager PM does. The minute the job is won, that person then takes that job, coordinates with the client, sets it up, organises it, plans it, orders materials, and follows the budget that's been given to them from the pricing stage, and they then deliver the job. You still got to manage that person. You can't expect them to just not speak to the client and it's completely on their shoulders. But if you just imagine how much time you're going to have if that person then organises and does the day-to-day. It's like an operational type person. So it's got to be an organised person. It's got to be someone who thrives on getting shit done and making it happen, a can-do attitude. And it's got to be a really good people pleaser, you know, really good communication skills. You need a lot of skills in that person. But just imagine what your life is like once you've got that person in, because then your responsibility as the owner is purely on the sales, the pricing, driving revenue up. It's income generating tasks. And you're out of the day-to-day as such. You still need to check in with that contract manager probably 2-3 times a week, depends on the person. Certainly for me, I found that some PMs I would have to check in with pretty much daily and just go, right, what's happening on site today? How's things? The lads got everything they need, everything on track. I would always sit down with that contracts manager and weekly and go, right, where's the job at financially? So that you know and they know in case they've missed anything, that you just know where the job's going and from a financial perspective. But other PMs you can meet once a week because they're just experienced, they've got the eye on the ball, they're great, and they don't need that level of management. And this is all it really is for staff. You just find the groove of who needs managing in what way, or what works for the right people. Because you get some people that don't want to ask for help as much because they don't want to look stupid. And you've got other people that will be on your back every 5 minutes, and it's just an art of learning how to manage each different person. But once you do that, if you've got that set up, that is the setup you need to do millions a year in this business. That is all you need. If you've got a fantastic contracts manager, you've got a fantastic head of accounts, from there, it just becomes a bit bitty. You know, you might need some additional external marketing support. You might need some external IT support. You might need another very junior admin person, depending on the business setup. It's difficult to understand your exact business, but this is the framework for it. And it just becomes, right, we have a system for getting leads in. You've got a marketing system, which I've done an episode on the podcast about social media, but I will do an episode purely on marketing and leads and the different places that you can get all leads from. Once you've got that in place, you've got head of accounts and you've got a contracts manager, an operational person. From there, you've then got a great business. And it's a smarter move to invest in those people ahead of time so that the next year and the year after, you can be doing a hell of a lot more revenue. So you're going to be in a much further position 3 years later on, rather than getting the business to a level of just doing like £500,000, whatever, and you just sticking at that point and just doing it all yourself. Because you're only going to be in the same spot in 3 years' time. So it goes back to what I said at the beginning of the preparation. If you know your numbers, you've got your finances in control, you're building healthy cash in the business, you guys at that level, if you're at that sort of level listening to this, you want to be banking at least and have 100 grand clear in the business bank account, and then start taking these people on, and then you're covered. You're financially protected. You've got money in the bank. You're not stressed out and worrying about paying employees. Having the responsibility and burden of payroll is the biggest stress in the world if you haven't got cash. So you need to get the business to a point first where it's in a healthy cash position, so that you're protected. If you have 2-3 bad months, something colossal happens, which touch wood it won't, but let's say someone didn't pay you, something majorly fucked up on the job, you've got cash reserves in the bank. Where people go wrong with employees is they go a bit too early, where you haven't got cash in the bank, and you haven't got a business structure, you're not prepared, you're not in control of your finances, you don't know your elbow from your fucking ear roll, and then it becomes fucking stressful when you've got people to pay and you haven't got the money. Cash is king in this business. You need to have decent cash flow in the business. I think for a level of £500,000 a year business, you want 100 grand in there. That's money sitting there all the time. Yes, you're going to have operational cash as well. That's like money that's you've spent on materials, money you've paid to subbies you might not have been paid yet. But if you've always got a balance of a decent 100 grand sitting there, you know there's more money in the system, in the business as well. You're in a great spot to be in, okay? And just keep it in the business. Because what a lot of people do is you start earning some money and then they draw that money out and you then spend it on liabilities. And the problem is tax paid money is the most expensive money in the world. So if you take 10 grand out of the business, you end up with 5 yourself, loosely, depends on your own tax rates, but you've lost half your money. And you then buy liabilities that do nothing but lose you money. Whereas that 10 grand would have been 4 months for that head of accounts on the 2.5 grand. And you could have been so much more ahead in business. You could be doing a lot more revenue, making a lot more profit, just by doing that one move that's completely different and not taking the money out and not rinsing the business. And it's just bonkers, you know. I did it when I was younger. You know, you start making some money and you think, right, I fucking deserve this, I'm going to do it. But you want to be thinking more about the longer game. And I say this all the time to you guys. it's a longer game, a longer business, and just make strategic moves and go, right, bang. If you just follow the process back that I've talked about in this podcast, you will then be in a great spot. And it's not actually all you as well. You know, you've got a contracts manager, you've got an ops person or a working foreman, whatever the right person, what fit's going to be for the trade that you do. You've got the head of accounts. You've then got a team, you know, and it's not all on you. You can get a bit out of your head and you're built for success. And I think that's where I'm going to sort of leave it, is go, are you building for success? And you'll know the answer yourself listening to this. Are you building your business for the success that you actually want to achieve? And have the long view, not the short-term view of this week, this month. Where do you want the business to be in 2 or 3 years? And I will do a podcast on this as well. I'll take a note of that, of doing purely on, right, goals, where you want the business to be, how to do that, how to attack things properly and really get ahead. So I hope that's been useful, guys. That is a framework for growing a decent business. It just takes commitment, dedication to the cause, and really a dog-like focus on that's where we want to be. Let's follow the steps and do that, and just rack up the cash in the business, keep winning work, deliver good jobs, and don't be afraid to take the step forward of employing people that are going to help you and massively release your stress. That is the biggest bottleneck, guys. It's relying on you doing everything. Yes, you've got to be set and in a place to be able to do it first, but you've got to be able to absolutely lock in, focus, and be really 100% confident on your business. And I think I've just opened a can of worms there, that it's all about confidence. If you don't have confidence in what you're doing, you need to get the confidence. Because when you're 100% confident on it, you know you deliver a great product, you know that you are great at what you do, and you know you've got full control of your business, you know all the numbers, you know the finances, you know everything's in order, you've got some of the right systems in place. Once you've got that confidence, it's then a lot more easier to take staff on and commit to bigger costs. But if you haven't got that confidence, you'll always be in this deliberation move of, well, sitting on the fence, and the only thing you get sitting on the fence is a sore ass. So if you haven't got that confidence, that is exactly what I do with the direct one-to-one mentorship through Construction Entrepreneur. If you need some help with that to get that confidence, drop me a DM on Instagram. It's at Dean Barton Real. There's an application process to that. I will be honest, I am stringent on who I let into that and the right person, because at the end of the day, it's me working one-to-one with you. It's no bullshit. But that's what it's all about, giving the confidence. So there is the opportunity there for you guys. I hope you have found that useful, and I will see you on the next podcast episode. Have a good one. Bosh.